Good afternoon, everybody. We are going to dive into a topic that is at the intersection of what's been on everyone's minds over these 2 days. Climate and sustainability more broadly, and AI. Digital intelligence is reshaping everything, and we have some sense of how that's working. We see the promise. We also see some of the challenges that the rapid deployment of AI is raising as possibility. How do we address both of those things? I'm going to dive right in and ask questions of the three wonderful panelists we have with us this afternoon. I'm going to start with Noel Hurley, the CEO of Littoral Labs. And Noel, Littoral Labs is relying on a different kind of model than many AI companies are relying on. Tell us a little bit about that and why your model is valuable with respect to sustainability.
So I think we've all can recognize that there are huge issues related to AI around power consumption, around water usage to cool, et cetera, et cetera. And those issues have a fundamental grounding in the physics and the mathematics used in neural networks. As a business at Littoral Labs, we're taking alternative approaches to those algorithms and looking at the ways in which we develop algorithms that are able to better match the types of deployment technologies that we see in the market today. And what we're benchmarking is about a 50 times improvement in terms of energy usage, in terms of the speed of the model, and also the ability to be able to explain the model as well.
And these are logic-based models as opposed to large language models.
These are logic-based models. They are particularly suitable for in-field, edge-type applications, where you're trying to deploy AI not in a huge, great big data center and try and get all the data into that data center, but actually being able to deploy them out in the field and get the insights and AI to operate on those devices that sit in the field, rather than having to drag all the data back into a data center.
Thank you. 50x improvement is something that I think we all would like to see.
I hope so.
Fawad Qureshi, you are the global Field CTO. We talked a little bit about that title backstage of Snowflake. And how, in your view, do you think AI can and should be developed to address some of the questions that Noel referenced? Water, energy, land, I would say, in addition.
No, absolutely. A number of the systems that are designed around the world, they're designed for efficient delivery, but they're not catering to the waste. And that's something that we need to address. While what Noel is talking about, yes, AI is consuming a lot of carbon emissions. As per a World Economic Forum report, the carbon emissions from AI are doubling every 100 days. But despite that, AI and technology is not in the top 10 carbon emitters of the world. It is still the energy sector, public transport, and all of those systems that were not designed with the system externalities in mind. Just as a context, I live in the UK. Last fiscal year, the UK electricity sector lost 25 terawatt hours of electricity in transmission losses. To put it into context, this is 1.5 million middle-class households' annual electricity consumption. So what we need to think about is, how do we apply AI at areas where it detects those breaking points, give you those signals, instead of just using it for reporting purposes, while at the same time ensuring that AI is not contributing to the problem itself. And this is the thing that we need to make sure is, how do we design a solution that is designed for scarcity in a world of abundance and not waste those resources that are around us?
A 21st century model being applied to perhaps 19th century infrastructure, that may not work out so well. Nada Al-Meqbali, you have one of the best job titles I've seen in a long time. So, Vice President of Future Foresight and the Creative Lab at ADNOC. And I know you've been leading the company's very considerable efforts to implement AI, and that means organizational transformation. Tell us a little bit about how you're trying to make that happen inside ADNOC.
For the energy industry specifically, let me a little bit zoom out before we go deeper in ADNOC story and the journey of the transformation. For the energy industry specifically, AI is moving from being only a concept to an actual implementation. In 2025, the AI for energy market was around $18 billion US dollar, and it's basically projected to be $75 billion US dollar by 2034. And this tells you that AI is being implemented in real systems, and it started generating the operational and productivity value that it's expecting. And ADNOC is basically having an ambition to become the most AI-enabled energy company in the world. And for that specifically, we have a formula that consists of two things that are really important. Of course, deploying the technology, but also a whole pillar. And usually people call it enabler. It's not an enabler. It's equivalent to the pillar of deploying technology, which is AI for people. Making sure that your people adopt AI, understand AI, and they are part of basically the change that you are trying or unlocking the value that you would like to unlock. AI for energy specifically pillar, we have been deploying AI across our value chain, starting from seismic interpretation to basically introducing it into the way we do predictive maintenance, the way we do energy efficiency, all the way to the consumer. And we have very targeted approach. We're looking for creating more value, lowering our emission, as well as ensuring the safety of our people. And this was only being basically done when we have been investing in the last few years heavily on the digital infrastructure and the data infrastructure. And this is very crucial for AI to basically unlock the value that you are expecting. In terms of the people, we have been working closely with the teams responsible, but we have introduced basics of AI to around 40,000 employees. We made sure that more than 600 of our engineers who are in the energy industry, they work with data day in and day out. They know the data, they know what does it mean, and they know where are the inefficiencies in the system. We enabled them by introducing specific targeted programs to ensure that they understand AI, they can build AI agents themselves, and they can introduce these solutions and reduce the efficiency and inefficiencies in the system.
That's really interesting. I do want to ask all of you now a little bit about the human dimension of it. And if I can come back to you, Nada, to start, what have you been finding? 40,000 people, that's quite a lot. What are people embracing? What are people maybe not embracing so rapidly? And how do you bring along a group of people to think about their work in fundamentally different ways? This is about machine learning, but there is a human dimension to this. So tell us, maybe give us a little bit of a flavor of what you're seeing across the workforce at ADNOC.
So introducing the basics of AI, it had multiple objectives. One, we wanted to build a workforce that understands the technology, because the first reason of resistance, even if deploying this technology is going to unlock the value, it's going to reduce the repetitive work, tasks that I do every day, it will bring more efficiency in the way I do things. The first thing that make human resist the technology deployment is them not understanding what does it mean. So that was one of the main objectives. The second one is for those who are working with data, those who will grab and understand the technology immediately, they will become your champion, and they will be part of the change that you are basically you are targeting. And these employees will be the ones who are going to develop your use cases. In ADNOC, we call them value cases, which means we go all the way to build their capability to understand on building a business case for every challenge that they are facing basically in their day-to-day. So we have multiple targets, And we have been basically targeting closing the gap and upskilling the people through multiple programs just to ensure that we unlock the value that we were basically targeting.
I like the concept of value case to replace use case. That's very, very, very good. Fawad, you and your company, you work with a lot of different kinds of customers, universities, government agencies, large companies, presumably smaller companies also. What are you seeing in terms of the uptake and how these very different groups of institutions are making sure that the technology is being used inside their companies in a way that people really embrace?
Yep. The word sustainability is a very deep word. Oftentimes we think of sustainability and think of just carbon emissions. It's about the long-term survival of the human race. It's about how do we continue to live on this planet in the most effective, efficient way possible. And that is not just carbon emission, that is making sure that the people who are working, who have a living, they continue to have a living in the future as well. And one of the real threat that AI proposes is there is a model that says that everything that a human being can do in 5-second thinking or less can be automated by AI. Now think about your day-to-day life, day-to-day work. What task are you doing quickly, instantaneously? And if those get automated, what happens to those people who are in those kind of jobs? So there is a real economic development concern on how do we make sure that those people whose job gets automated, how do we translate that? So something that we have been working with the industry, with the policymakers, with the academia, we've got a few different programs. We are working with a global body called 1 Million Minds, where we want to train 1 million professionals in AI, and we are investing $20 million in AI retraining, upskilling, so that, I mean, it is inevitable. It is going to happen. You know, when the printing press came out, people didn't say, you know, we need to preserve the book writers. We need to give those book writers new skills. And that's where a number of the governments around the world are working on this. A great example of this is in the Singapore government, there's a skills first program where what they have done is they have taken an inventory of all the skills in the country and created a matrix of what skills are required to train the young generation, and not just the young generation, the middle-aged people, because they are at the greatest risk. So, and then they are offering subsidies on training courses. You should learn on this, and you should do this. So I'll encourage you to look at that program on how the government is addressing that. So this is really an opportunity for everyone to come together and build a solution that is fit for the future, not just for the carbon emission, but also making sure the people who are in the workforce continue to stay employable in the workforce.
Thank you. And Noel, how are you and Littoral Labs thinking about the human dimension?
Yeah, so we're a young company, and when you first start up a company, we've been going really for about 18 months, 2 years. We had within our team a lot of philosophical debate about AI and which direction we should take. And we all believe that, like any tool, it should be there to augment a human, not to replace a human. And so actually at the heart of our mission statement as a company is that to do AI that's good for all and treads lightly on the environment. So these were the two key passionate areas that we should focus on augmenting humans rather than replacing humans, and that we should do whatever we can to improve efficiencies, whether that be compute, energy, cost, whatever, because all of that has an environmental impact. And so that's the kind of approach that we did. And actually, that's why, of all of the different areas around AI, we've focused in on the industrial space. Because I think in the industrial space, if we can bring insights from the field into the organization and provide a mechanism for those insights, that's how you get productivity improvement. And you get it through innovation, because when you get that insight, you can invent new technologies, you can move the business forward. And so that's where our focus has been.
Your answers, each of the three of you, I think, speak to the importance of producing trust, which is a word that's used quite a lot, and it's very hard actually to deliver. but your answers, I think, speak to how to accomplish that. In the short time remaining, I'm going to do that thing that moderators do and ask you to look at the future. In the last presentation before we came on, the phrase was used, the future won't create itself. Well, a lot of people look at AI and say, actually, the future is creating itself via AI. So let me ask you a little bit, what do you think we should be looking out for in, say, the next 2 to 3 years? The unexpected, the profound, what is the one thing that you wake up in the middle of the night either worried about or excited about, or maybe a little bit of both? Who'd like to start?
I think that if we can solve the compute problem around AI, we can unshackle it from the data center and actually move AI out into the field where, frankly, it can be more useful in terms of creating those insights so that we can all run our businesses far more efficiently and reduce waste.
The hyperscalers would like to have a word with you.
I'm sure they would.
Like to go next?
Yeah. So talking about waste, one of the biggest contributor of waste across the traditional systems is the isolation. A car is only used 1 hour a day, 23 hours it is parked. You go on the Sheikh Zayed Road from Abu Dhabi to Dubai, 90% of the car have a single occupant. What we need to think about is how do we build shared infrastructure? And one of the biggest threat to that sharing of infrastructure is data sovereignty and all. Everyone wants a little corner plot of their own. Where I am from, we have a saying that do not build a mosque with 1.5 bricks, which basically means that mosque is a community center. You should be pooling resources together to build a shared environment. If we are going to build data centers, let's do it in the public cloud, do it where we can distribute the idle resources across large number of tenants so that it brings that carbon efficiency from a macroeconomic perspective. Fragmentation might feel secure, but it has long-lasting impact on the planet's future.
Thank you. And Nada, what should we be thinking about?
My answer is basically tapping into both. We need to move, and this is what's going to happen. We have to, and we will be moving from isolation and isolated efficiency gain is more like system-level intelligence, I would call it. And this taps into both answers, and I do believe, again, the missing piece of that, when we say system, we don't mean like AI systems alone. It's combined and complemented by people. The system word includes people, and it's very important for the future.
Thank you. I think you've all delivered great vision and a call to action and good food for thought on how we can do this right. So please join me in thanking our 3 wonderful speakers this afternoon.
Thank you.